Hello and welcome back everyone, we Weeb Online, and today I'm gonna continue the story What If Naruto and Fem Kurama Were Criminal Duo Part 6. If you enjoy this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and to watch more videos like this, subscribe to my channel and turn that bell notification on so you never miss an upload. Now wasting no more time, let's begin.
After completing his mission report, Naruto entered his apartment. Once in Konoha, Sasuke was dropped off at his house, while Kyuubi chose to go to Keishahin HQ with everyone else. Tsunade, with Shizune in tow, proceeded to her rendezvous with Jiraiya, while Tenten and Naruto completed their mission reports, collected their pay, and, for Naruto, picked up his bounty. Kyuubi joined him on his bed after he kicked off his shoes in the living room and threw his shirts on the floor in his room. "You tired, Naruto-kun?" Kyuubi asked. "A little bit, I guess. I'm feeling a little drained, but I'm so rich right now. I can't wait to spend it all on something stupid," Naruto said, grinning as he felt the girl fall onto his chest. He then planted a kiss on her head, causing her to giggle briefly. He felt her move into a really comfortable position on the bed, and he grunted. "Are you going to spend some of that on me?" Kyuubi asked, planting a kiss on his chin. He smiled at her. "Hey, have you seen how bare my house is? I need to spend all of this on useless crap to fix this stupid place up and make it look like an actual home instead of a piss-poor safe house. Or better yet, I need to check with my landlord and see if I can get that penthouse room he's been bragging about since he set it up." Kyuubi raised his eyebrows. "I don't see why you don't move in with me and my family, Naruto-kun. Dad said he would let you. He said it would be easier to train you that way. My family likes you and we have lots of space." Naruto let out a sigh. "Because Isshin would also use that opportunity to give me the scary, 'I don't want you touching my daughter' speech, and he would also put the squeeze on us when it came to our private time. Your mom is cool once I got past the teasing, but that stuff also puts your dad into full-on bloodhound mode. Or have you not noticed that every time we're at your house he'll find us and won't leave until I do? Be nice. He's just worried about me. You don't exactly come off as the most trustworthy guy right off the bat when people meet you," Kyuubi said, causing Naruto to cringe slightly. Naruto looked out his window at the setting sun and said, "And yet somehow you trusted me enough to follow me around all day when we first met. When do I have to get you home?" he asked. Thoughtfully, Kyuubi's face twisted before a cunning smile appeared, saying, "Technically we're back a day early. I don't have to go home until tomorrow." "You still have clothes here?" Naruto smiled down at her, and the girl nodded. "Well then, how would you like to spend the night with me, my dear?" Naruto asked. Kyuubi gave Naruto a kiss on the lips, got up, and swayed her hips all the way to the closet to get some pajamas and then to his shower. Naruto watched her leave the room, his smile refusing to go away as he observed her removing her shirt and exclaimed, "I freaking love that girl." Main house of Uchiha. Sighing, Sasuke took a seat at his desk in his bedroom. He placed a tiny writing pad on the surface and thought aloud, clasping his hands together, "I'm in over my head here. What kind of bullshit case have I incited?" Reminiscent moment. The drive back to Konoha. "Can you tell me what you know about a man named Orochimaru?" The car as a whole fell silent. For the most part, Naruto and Tenten remained silent because they knew exactly who this Orochimaru was. He had previously collaborated closely with them before turning criminal. With the exception of the blonde's hushed remarks that Sasuke had the worst social timing ever, Kyuubi remained silent because Naruto remained silent. Knowing Tsunade's background and opinions about Orochimaru, Shizune remained silent and focused on the road. At last, Tsunade herself inhaled deeply and opened her mouth, asking, "Why would you want to know anything about Orochimaru, little Uchiha?" Taking out a small writing pad and pen, Sasuke stated, "Well, I'm apprenticing under my father, and one of his requirements for me to get to the next stage of my training is to shed some relevant light on an old closed case. It's a tradition," he says. "This just so happens to be the one that I ended up getting." It appears that Sasuke was just as bad at Naruto at reading general social situations. For a long while, the only sounds coming from outside the car were the wind, and Tsunade allowed it to fall silent again. With an impatient eyebrow raise, Sasuke was forced to hold his tongue for the moment by Kyuubi's sharp elbow. "I'm sure that if you were worth even half your salt as any kind of cop, trainee or otherwise, that you would know somewhat about my connection to Orochimaru. Why else would you be shaking me down right now?" Tsunade said, sighing and rubbing the area between her eyes. Sasuke scowled. Was that what she believed this to be? I'm not trying to shake you down. It's just that you're pretty much the closest lead I can possibly think of right now. I mean, you're the only person that I know of that knew Orochimaru at all. Tsunade looked back at the children who were just listening intently and chuckled bitterly. So that distinction belongs to me, does it? She continued. Alright Uchiha brat. Listen up, because you're lucky you're even getting this out of me. It's only because I owe you and the blonde insane brat with the red head on his lap that I'm telling you this. Silently nodding, Sasuke prepared his pen to jot down details. You know that I worked closely with Orochimaru, do you not? Asked Tsunade after pausing for a moment. Nodded. It was said that you had a mutually beneficial relationship. You both helped each other in your fields of choice. Your medical studies helped him in his chemical research and vice versa. Is that the story that the police have on our relationship? Tsunade shook her head. Come on, Uchiha brat. Don't you know that nothing in this world is that straightforward? Sasuke gave her a strange look. Sasuke turned to glare at Tenten and Naruto for their mocking remarks. He laughed. What have I been telling you, deputy? You need to get yourself out of that law enforcement strain of thinking. It'll mess you up. Tsunade raised her thumb in the opposite direction. Listen to the kid. He's right. Orochimaru may have had records in Keishahin, but the truth of the matter is that he was never a mercenary for the company. He just had a close relationship with myself and Jiraiya. He was a decent person at first, a little strange, but he was a good enough guy. Tenten blinked and asked, what happened? From her seat. Tsunade stopped and said, when Orochimaru first started acting strange, none of us thought too much of it. Everyone has their quirks to cope with things over time, and we just figured he was spending so much time on traveling sabbaticals and in his laboratories in Konoha just as his own method. Naruto nodded. He was familiar with many such individuals. Obito was perpetually cheerful and mischievous, almost like a child. Kakashi read porn practically non-stop. Zabuza and Anko were both somewhat insane. Tsunade gambled and drank. Jiraiya was an almost unbelievable pervert. And Guy. Never mind that Naruto wasn't even going to engage in his line of bullshit. Tsunade glanced back at the children. I wish it was like that. Orochimaru simply started digging into deeper and darker things that people shouldn't have had any business pondering. Jiraiya just kept on saying it was simply jutsu research because Orochimaru was always a sucker for ninjutsu, but it went further than that. She tightened her grip. He started pressuring me for new techniques for preservation so that he could do more with his experiments. I got sick of doing things for his own benefit and nothing for my own, so he went over my head, so to speak. Or should I say he got in my head. He hired my little brother who was around your age as his bodyguard. But I knew what it really was. He was a bona fide hostage. A hostage to make me work to help him from afar, and for things that I had no clue on what he was doing. Tsunade wiped her eyes for a moment. Eventually our sensei, who was running Keishahin at the time, had found enough evidence to believe that Orochimaru's experiments were crimes against humanity. Him, Jiraiya and myself tracked down one of his labs in Town End. Sasuke looked up, his pen freezing on his notepad. What happened? They found Tsunade-sama's little brother Nawaki. He ended up being the base for one of Orochimaru's experiments, Shizune said, taking one hand off the wheel and giving Tsunade a comforting rub as she realized that Tsunade would not be speaking for a while. Tsunade coughed and wiped her eyes. I'm okay, Shizune. I'm not done yet. She regained her composure and continued. Orochimaru had fled the city by the time we got there, and word of his whereabouts had reached HQ around the same time that we had informed them of what we found. I had a fiancé at the time, Dan. He was Shizune's uncle. Dan got both pieces of news at the same time and assembled a pursuit force to give chase. I found out about it and me and Jiraiya went out after him. She stopped and glanced out the window. When we caught up, the entire team was dead except for Dan, and even he was on the verge of dying himself. Even me, the best medic in the world, couldn't do a single thing for him. He died right in my arms. After that I had enough and just walked away from it all and ended up focusing on medicine. A few years later there was another incident that was the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, and I just left. So you haven't been in contact with him in basically 20 years then? Tsunade glanced back at Sasuke, who was sorrowfully. If I knew where that snake was hiding I would have found him and wrung his neck out a long time ago, brat. If you have any more questions then track me down when we get back to Konoha. Going too much in depth right now isn't really something I'm too eager to do at the moment. Setting down his writing pad, Sasuke nodded. Finalize flashback. How was your trip with Naruto over the weekend, Sasuke-kun? When Sasuke's attention returned to his surroundings, he noticed his mother watching him from his room's doorway. His response, a small smile on her face, was, "It was fine, Mom. Naruto said that Uncle Obito says hi." A pleasant smile appeared on Makoto's face as she said, "Well, dinner should be ready in about an hour. Welcome home, Sasuke-kun." Returning his focus to his work, Sasuke laughed to himself. I need to get Naruto to help me find Tsunade before she leaves. After a week, the Isshin, Kyuubi's father, just shot a bored glance back when Naruto gave him a severe glare. Naruto was staring at him so intently it seemed as though he wanted the man to burst into flames. It's obvious that you're terrible at this technique, so are we done yet, kid? Isshin yawned and glanced at his watch. Maintaining his intense gaze, Naruto said, "Shut up, old man. I'm getting this move down before I get deployed again, and that's that." Naruto had been practicing the next level of demonic techniques in their dojo for the past few sessions at Kyuubi's family home. He had learned Onijutsu, Dokuriki demon technique, poison aura, which, when used, expelled a toxic miasma from the user's body. The effects of this jutsu could range from flu-like symptoms and dizziness to physical illness based on incapacitating poisonous effects like paralysis, temporary or not so temporary, blindness, and Naruto's all-time favorite, explosive diarrhea, depending on how much Yuki was put into the technique and its intended use. The following strike was more of a supplemental method called Kitsune no Haifukoka fox skin hardening, which would prevent piercing blows from hitting Naruto and deflect them, shielding him from being stabbed, for example. Very helpful, he'd say. He was completely unprepared for only two techniques: Onijutsu, Dukatsu Shogeki, demon technique. Bluster Shockwave. It would take the user's inherent intimidation and bloodlust combined with personal bravado to get the better of an opponent. It was also passive because you could attack without holding the jutsu once it was successful. This was an illusion-based jutsu that needed to be used with steady Yuki flowing up toward the user's eyes and eye contact. The other was Onijutsu, Kitsune no Manto demon technique, Fox Cloak, Tanzaku Gai's transparency maneuver, which he simply could not grasp. Naruto was having trouble with these two in particular because he was always having trouble with illusions, which is why Haku and Rin never bothered trying to teach him any genjutsu, as it would have been mostly useless. As he attempted to turn the attack on her father, Kyuubi saw her boyfriend grow red. "Naruto-kun, stop holding your breath. You're going to pass out again, that isn't focusing," Kyuubi said. "Damn it. Why'd I suck at these so much? I think I've finally hit that proverbial brick wall. You know, when you can't go any further with something, because this is like using my head to bash down a concrete barrier," Naruto said, letting out a breath and turning to face his girlfriend, who was sitting off to the side. With a sly snort, Isshin said, "With your head, I'd bet on the barrier crumbling before anything else." Naruto raised his eyebrows at Isshin. Maybe if my training for the techniques weren't something more than either a glorified staring contest or a hide-and-seek competition in plain sight, I'd have better luck getting them down. Isshin giggled at his misfortune. "Kid, maybe you're just not cut out for the illusion brand of our powers. I can't see why though. Kitsune-type half-demons have something of a propensity towards them, and yet you seem to fail infinitely at them." Naruto sighed. "It's all technical nuances that are keeping me from executing the moves. With Kitsune no Manto I can't keep my thin film of Yuki around my body thin enough to use the move. With Dukatsu Shogeki I can't keep a constant steady flow of Yuki in my eyes. Maybe I should talk to Sasuke or Itachi about that. They have that Fiing Sharingan, so they must know something about focusing their eyes, right? Okay. You're done for the day. Go home and get some rest, kid. Hit it hard again tomorrow," Isshin said, stroking his chin. "I will. I'm not heading straight home though. I need to go grab some stuff," Naruto said, sighing as he began to put on his shoes and jacket. He then walked over to Kyuubi and gave her a quick kiss on the lips. "I'll call you when I get home so you don't freak out or anything, okay?" Kyuubi pulled him down for a final kiss, her mouth wryly smiling. "Don't get lost on your way home, Naruto-kun. Your sense of direction is total shite." Hey, no PDAs in my house, you little bastard," snarled Isshin. With a vulpine smirk directed at his girlfriend's father, Naruto pulled Kyuubi to her feet and planted a single, long kiss that caused her to slightly bend back. Letting go, Naruto gave Isshin a false salute before racing out of the house with Isshin pursuing him. Later on that evening, with a controller in his hand and a headset on, Naruto exclaimed, "Damn it, Kiba. Stop stealing my kills," while in his living room. "Fuck you, Naruto. Finish your shots then." Naruto thought it would be a good idea to use his newly acquired money to purchase a game system and an Ethernet hookup so that he could play online in an attempt to relieve some of the tension he was experiencing as a result of his lack of progress in his training. However, he discovered that Kiba from school had also wasted his own small fortune and purchased one himself, which is what brought him to this point. As another match came to an end, Naruto sighed and set down the controller, saying, "Kiba, go to bed, you need to get up for school tomorrow." Kiba yelled from the other end, "Look who's talking. If you skip tomorrow and send another of those stupid copies of you, I'll tell Kyuubi and she'll come and kick your lazy ass after school." After complaining through his headset, Naruto said, "Fine, see you tomorrow." Later, he then removed the headset, turned off the game, and went to bed. He gave the Kitsune no Manto one last try before turning in for the night. He sighed in exasperation and went to bed after realizing that his skin had only begun to glow palely before he let go of the technique. South Konoha High School, the next day. "Deputy, you really suck at giving advice on training, you know that?" asked Naruto, leaning his head against his desk. In Iruka's class, Sasuke glared at him as Sakura and Ino occupied the spaces on either side of him. "Well, excuse me if I-based jutsu and the like come naturally to me, Dobi. Why would you ask someone with a dojutsu anyway? Using them is second nature to us. Usually after I activate Sharingan I don't have to think about it until I want to turn it off," Sasuke said. With a head shake, Naruto said, "That's just fucking great. So I can do anything but distort reality." Sigh. Kyuubi gently rubbed his head. "Ah, Naruto-kun, it's okay. You can go ahead and learn the next tier of techniques. It's not that you haven't been trying or you don't get it. Those jutsu take a lot of control to use. You have so much raw chakra, it's always going to be hard to learn techniques that use less chakra and force you to mediate power." "Thank you, Kyuubi-chan. I still feel like I'm letting you and your dad down. Even when I use a few kage bunshin to try and speed up the process, I can't get them down just right," Naruto said, getting up off the desk and pressing his forehead against hers. As everyone continued to chatter, Iruka entered the room and moved to the desk at the front. He cleared his throat, shut the hell up, and brought the class to silence while checking his watch and nodding to himself. "All right then, let's get started for the day, shall we?" The bell rang a moment later. After 4 hours, as his friends went to their regular spots, Naruto lowered his head onto the lunch table. When his head hit something, Ino heard it thud and thought, "Wow, Naruto. Lazy much?" Naruto said, "I need a vacation. I was supposed to have been on one a few weeks back, but that plan was shot all to hell. For the last 6 months I've basically been training and working, no real downtime." Opening one blue eye to the fellow blonde. Sakura gave Naruto a curious glance and noticed the slight wear around his eyes, something she had never really noticed before. She had no idea that those weren't just symptoms of tiredness but also a minor side effect of him straining his eyes so much. "You don't look too good, Naruto. Why don't you just head on home?" was a common question. A day of rest could have resolved the issue, as he must have been quite busy. He faintly smirked, "And who, pray tell, is going to check me out? I'm an orphan Sakura, no guardian or anything. I can't just keep on leaving or they really will fail me for absences from my classes, and I'm not staying in this fluorescently lit hellhole any longer than I have to." A sob interrupted his words. "I can't wait until Friday afternoon. I'm going to sleep like the dead this weekend, count on it." Naruto grunted in response to each jab from Choji, who said, "What has he been doing? Sakura is right, he looks like crap." Kyuubi stood up to Choji and breathed as, "He's probably been just overworking himself. I told him to rest when he got home, but he's probably still trying those jutsu when he gets in his house. It's really eating at him that he can't do them. The idiot gave himself chakra exhaustion." Shikamaru raised his eyebrows. "What jutsu? We don't know all too much what Naruto can do besides the stuff we saw him do when he fought Kiba. How many more does he know?" "He has a lot actually. I have more though, smirked Sasuke. Shut it, deputy. We all don't have magic eyes to help us learn new things, some of us have to actively work, was Naruto's voice echoing off the table. So have you been able to do anything with the information I've been getting you? Sasuke asked Shikamaru, grinning at his grumpy-sounding friend. Then, turning back to Naruto, he said, "Oh, Naruto, did you know Tsunade is still in town? It's kind of hard not to know since I've been running into her every day when I go to get some light work. You get all of your real questions answered?" Naruto said, nodding with his head still resting on the table. Sasuke replied, "Yeah, Shikamaru helped me find out about pretty much the only single person that Orochimaru conducted DNA experiments on that actually survived. He still lives in the city, believe it or not." Naruto struggled to raise his head off the table and said, "Deputy, pick another case to work on. This seems over your head, and I don't want to be around you when it blows up in your face, which trust me it always does." Then he dropped his head with a thud once more. Sasuke gave Naruto a fierce glare while deftly shaking his head, saying, "I can't just quit, not when I'm figuring deeper into this whole thing than anyone else has so far." He sighed. "You ever figure that there was a reason that no one else ever got this far? Like they, I don't know, disappeared or something?" With a somewhat acerbic gaze, Sakura said to Naruto, "Nobody is going to kill Sasuke-kun. Nobody can, and who would try to make the son of the chief of police disappear?" Kyuubi shot Sakura a sardonic glance while blowing out her bangs. "How about the guy that's been evading police capture since before you were born?" Kyuubi asked. After discovering a napkin, Shikamaru jotted down some basic details about the person Sasuke was looking for, saying, "Here, go look this guy up before you try anything. You might want to take someone with you when you try to find him too." With a sly smile, Sasuke asked, "Are you volunteering?" Shikamaru grumbled, "Yeah right, try Kiba or something. I'm not getting any more involved than I have to. You're just lucky that you pay me so well or you wouldn't be getting this much effort out of me." Taking the napkin and glancing across the table, Sasuke said, "So Naruto this weekend?" "No," he uttered without a single glance. "What?" Sasuke asked, blinking in shock, "Who else am I going to take with me?" From Sakura and Ino came the cry, "I'll go with you, Sasuke-kun. I actually would rather have someone with me that could help me avoid getting a knife slipped into my kidneys." Sasuke raised an eyebrow. "Why not you? You always go on these kinds of things with me." Naruto looked at his frail appearance. "If the shit really goes down out there, how well do you think I would do in this condition? I don't think I have the strength to fight off your two fangirls right now, let alone someone actively trying to kill us." He sighed, "If you still want to go this weekend then ask Kiba and I'll get you someone else to help you. Not a company worker though, just someone that owes me a favor. My Naru-kun isn't going to be doing anything until he's better, and that means he's going to be keeping his ass in bed this weekend until I say he's okay," Kyuubi said, latching onto Naruto and rubbing her face against the side of his that was sticking up. She concluded with a low growl, to which Naruto quickly nodded in agreement. "So Kiba, you doing anything this weekend?" Sasuke asked, shrugging and turning his head. Chewing his food and then swallowing, Kiba shot Sasuke a cold look and said, "Oh, so now I'm a part of the conversation? I just figured I was here to eat lunch and sit in the background looking pretty." "Yes. Anyway, are you in? Do you want to go with me and Naruto's ringer to find some guy for me?" Sasuke and many of the others around the table exclaimed as they started to perspire. "Are you going to pay for my food that day?" Kiba asked, wiping his mouth with a napkin. Sasuke nodded, and Kiba grinned and said, "Well then I'll be there, give me the place to meet up." With a feeble smile, Naruto said, "Deputy, look how easy that was. And bring some sausages too, Kiba loves those." "Fuck you, Naruto." Kiba snarled at him. With a light laugh, Naruto said, "There's only one person at this table I'd let do that to me." Afternoon on Saturday. Sasuke was waiting for his companions to arrive at the fast food restaurant doorway so that he could complete his daily task. Kiba was the first person he saw approach, and he had a fairly large dog that was walking side by side with him. "What's up, man? We still waiting on our mystery guest?" Kiba asked Sasuke, beaming. Nodding, Sasuke reached into his pocket for a few bucks and gave them to Kiba, saying, "Go get us some food and I'll wait out here for the last person." Kib nodded and gave Sasuke a leash. "Watch my dog?" He isn't going to go anywhere or anything, it's just that the animal control are real bastards and wouldn't lose any sleep over locking Akamaru up. So, how's life? Sasuke asked the white-furred dog, who just looked up at him and panted lightly. 1 bark for yes, 2 barks for no. Sasuke raised an eyebrow in response to Akamaru's bark, and he saw Akamaru nod in agreement. You can understand me perfectly, right? Arf. Can you fight alongside Kiba the way he's been telling everyone since we've been in middle school? Arf. Are you going to be all loud and disruptive while we're doing this? Arf. Arf. A tiny smile appeared on Sasuke's face as he asked, does Kiba like sausages? When he said that, arf, he could have sworn he saw the dog smile. When Uzumaki-san called me, I wasn't aware that I'd be working with an animal as well. Uchiha-san. Neji. Naruto roped you into doing this for him? How the hell did he manage to pull that off? Sasuke asked, turning to face the voice and seeing the familiar sight of Neji Hyuga making a cool glance at him. I owed him and you for getting my cousins back from those kidnappers, remember? It may have been a job for him, but it wasn't for you, and for that you were in my debt. Neji approached Sasuke and stood beside him on the other side of Akamaru. Sasuke shrugged indifferently and saw Kiba leave the restaurant holding a soda and a bag. Kiba asked, what? Did you guys want drinks too? As he became aware of the looks Sasuke and Neji were giving him. After removing one of the hamburgers from the bag Kiba had given him, Sasuke tried to give it to Neji, but the latter scoffed at the food, saying, you two can eat that uncultured trash if you want to. I for one won't be partaking. With a shrug, Sasuke opened the burger and tossed it to Akamaru, who quickly gobbled it up. Okay, whatever you say. We have a bunch if you change your tune, like $12 worth. Damn Kiba, do you think we have enough? He asked, taking out another one for himself. I didn't eat breakfast today and you said you were paying, so why not? Kiba grinned, concentrating on the work at hand. Okay Sasuke, where are we going and who are we looking for? Kiba became a little serious. Pulling out an address, Sasuke passed it between them, saying, we're looking for a man named Tenzo, no surname. He is however known in some circles as Mokuton no Tenzo due to the experiments done on him 20 years ago. Looked perplexed, Neji said, experiments? Neji abruptly shook Kiba's hand off and asked, what's your problem, man? Kiba patted him on the shoulder and said, we'll tell you on the way. Neji began to walk away. I'm here as a favor to someone. I will work with a brute like you for as long as I am required to, but do not act as though we are familiar. Sasuke touched his forehead. I can see that this day is going to go just great. I'm calling Naruto because I swear he might have done this to mess with one of us. Kiba began consuming his own food as he waited for the call to connect. Apartment Naruto. While lying in bed with Kyuubi, who was fast asleep, Naruto opened his phone and said, hello. Naruto, what is up with sending Neji to help us out? I think he and Kiba might tear each other apart by the time the sun sets. He rested his eyes. Listen up, I could have hired a mercenary to help you with this, but that would be coming out of my own pocket, and as much as I would say we're friends, you are not worth payment on a mission for someone of the same skill level that I could get for free. Couldn't you have at least sent his cousin instead? She's sweet, and you're right, she is really hot. Laughed, I know, but she's also really busy. I tried, you'll just have to deal with his BS for the day. Remember, don't call me. I'm useless for the day and Kyuubi-chan wouldn't let me leave regardless. Just keep from killing Neji, and if you do kill Neji, remember to turn his body to ash to cover your tracks. Later. Whatever, Dobi. Get back on your feet soon. I hate working with unfamiliars. After nodding and closing his phone, Naruto went back to his pillow. As Kyuubi started to stir and put her arms around him, he felt her say, Naruto-kun, can you turn the TV on please? I fucking hate cable, Naruto said as he grabbed the remote control from his nightstand and turned it on. Ma, Naruto, are you home? Naruto asked after hearing footsteps enter and his door open. Gazing at the young lady he was holding, Naruto said, are you decent, Kyuubi-chan? We've got company. With a bewildered expression, she raised her head to ask, you let people have the key to the apartment? I'm in the bedroom. Kakashi. And tell Obito to get the fuck out of my refrigerator, Naruto said, turning to face his door as he could see movement down the hall. They were the ones that made the first payments of my rent anyway, and in addition, You and Sasuke have keys, so why not? Naruto nodded. Something said, "Fuck you brat," from the kitchen. When Kakashi peered through the bedroom doorway, he saw his red-haired girlfriend holding Naruto tightly. He waved to him and grinned. "Well, Naruto, I heard you weren't feeling too well, so I decided to come over here to see how you were doing." "Thanks Kakashi. If you brought Obito, then where's Rin Nichan?" Naruto grinned at the man. With one of Naruto's disposable chopsticks in hand, Obito entered the room and said, "Rin's got a few hours of hospital duty today and couldn't come." Upon seeing what his honorary little brother was doing, he smiled and said, "Way to go kid. Never thought you had it in you to bed a cutie like this." "I like that girl brat. Feisty," Kyuubi exclaimed as she threw a blue fireball at Obito, who was running down the hallway, giving Naruto and Kyuubi a deadpan look. "I'm sorry, Naruto. I'll see you later. Get better soon," Kakashi said with regret. "Don't forget to use protection brat. I saw the condoms in your medicine cabinet," echoed Obito's final warning as Naruto bid Kakashi farewell and curled back up with Kyuubi. "Damn you Obito, you're so dead when I get my strength back." Kyuubi held Naruto down as he attempted to stand up after receiving a tick mark on his head. Konoha's downtown. Following the meeting at the fast food restaurant, Sasuke led the group to Tenzo's workplace in the downtown area. Kiba and Akamaru had to wait outside as they made their way to City Hall because of the no animals rule. When the secretary saw Sasuke and Neji approaching the main desk, she asked, "Yes. Can I help you too?" "Yes, if you could direct us to where we could find a Tenzo," Neji asked, turning on the diplomatic speech for the exchange. The secretary glanced at her schedule. "I'm sorry, he has an appearance at one of the recently rebuilt parks in town. He's our director of agriculture and he's been very busy these days. I can set up an appointment for you later this week if you would like." Neji glanced at Sasuke, who scowled but continued to nod. He turned back to the secretary and nodded, saying, "Yes, please put Sasuke Uchiha in for a meeting." "Okay. Sasuke Uchiha has a meeting on Monday afternoon with Director Tenzo. Is that all right?" she wrote in her schedule after giving him a nod. With a small smile, Neji said, "Yes, that is fine. Thank you for your time, and have a nice day." The two boys turned to go back outside, but Kiba suddenly approached them. With a perplexed expression, Kiba asked, "Well, that was fast. What happened?" Sasuke exhaled. "I have a meeting. At least it's not a dead end and I can actually talk to the guy through the system instead of having to go around it this time." Neji turned to face the Rez's Hyuga mansion, saying, "If that's all, then we're done doing business. Sasuke Uchiha. Good day." At Neji's regressing form, Kiba narrowed his eyes and said, "I really don't like that guy. How does Naruto know this guy again?" With a gesture that indicated Kiba should follow him, Sasuke said, "It's a long story. Are you doing anything else today? We've got nothing but time. I was expecting to be stuck doing this all day." Kiba smiled, "Not really. What do you have in mind?" Akamaru barked happily. Naruto's apartment that night. The TV was still on when Naruto woke up in the middle of the night, and Kyuubi was still tightly hugging him. He gave a little yawn and gently released her grasp, allowing himself to get up and get some food. He noticed that it was almost 1 in the morning by looking at the clock. He noticed a change in the air in his apartment as he started to boil the water for his ramen, almost like something wasn't quite right. He turned around and gazed into the general darkness of the apartment, sighing more to himself than anyone else. "You know, attacking me in my house isn't really a smart thing to do. Get out now or your life is forfeit," he said. From the shadows emerged 3 boys the approximate age of Naruto, brandishing kunai. With breathing apparatuses on their mouths and clothing resembling straitjackets, the person who could see both of his eyes said, "Well, isn't this lucky? He isn't even going to try and run or anything." There was another boy who stepped forward and covered both of his eyes. He said, "Let's just kill him and go Oboro. It's a long way home from here." "Fine Kagari, fine. All right, just sit tight and die like a good boy and we'll be on our way," declared the leader, who was now going by the name Oboro. "You shouldn't have come here, don't you guys know? Fighting a mercenary in his own home is tantamount to suicide," Naruto said, laughing. He then opened a drawer, took out several knives, and threw a few at the assassination team. As they dispersed throughout his living room, Naruto threw himself at the guy who was only covering one eye. Naruto kicked the boy away and stabbed him in the shoulder before he could defend himself. His teammates grabbed him as he cried out in pain, one holding guard while the other took out the knife, and they pulled him back. "Mubi, are you alright?" Kagari said. "He stabbed me with a goddamn butter knife. I'll slit your throat, you bastard," Mubi hissed as he struggled to stand. As the three boys watched him closely, Naruto moved around with caution. Eventually, Naruto stood in front of his TV and tapped a spot on the table supporting it. Naruto quickly unleashed the shuriken that were placed in his hands by a secret compartment in the table on his adversaries. Naruto leapt over his coffee table and large couch, using the projectiles as cover, to kick one of them in the face and start a close-quarters battle. The other two attempted to cut him with their kunai, but it was evident that close-quarters combat was not their strong suit because Naruto skillfully positioned them during the close-quarters battle, causing them to stab one another in the ensuing melee. With one of his attackers still alive and moving, Naruto tore off a kunai and threw it at the third member, who had recovered and was trying to sign with his hands. He crumpled to his knees after the kunai struck him in the stomach, saying, "Damn it. He won't even let us make hand signs to do any jutsu." With a double fist smash, Naruto destroyed one of his opponent's faces, then hurled the other one at his comrade who had attempted to use a jutsu. They ultimately crashed through Naruto's window and onto the third floor. "Kagari! Oboro!" exclaimed the last attacker as he saw his team fall out of the window and went to help them. He dodged a haymaker from Naruto and flew out the broken window, landing on the ground where he picked up his two partners and quickly withdrew to avoid being seen by someone carrying two people on his shoulders. "Hey, come back. I'm not done yet. Come back and wreck my apartment some more, you ass clowns," Naruto cried out into the night air as he watched them flee. "Why do all of the freaks come after me? Why are assassins after me anyway?" he asked, pausing briefly to search under his kitchen sink for some duct tape to seal his window shut until he could replace it. "Man, that girl is a heavy sleeper," he thought to himself as he glanced down the hall and saw that Kyuubi had not arrived to investigate any of the noise that had been resonating throughout the house. Maker. Jones Basketball. There are some well-known faces in the rear of South Konoha High School, getting ready to relax after the previous few days of travel. During this downtime, Tenten, Kyuubi, Sasuke, and Naruto got together to play a quick game of basketball. With an idiotic smile, Naruto finished, "Okay, it's me and the deputy against you two. Shirts versus skins, so there's no confusion. Of course, Sasuke and myself will be shirts." After dribbling the orange ball in an excessively showy manner, he passed it to Sasuke. After 10 minutes, he handed the ball to the girls after bandaging all of the slash marks and projectile wounds on his body and said, "The game is to 21, win by 2, rules are make it take it. You girls take it out." With a nod, Kyuubi passed the ball to Tenten, who put it up right away and made their shot with a loud swish. Releasing the ball to Kyuubi, Sasuke said, "That's one. It's still your ball." Once more, Kyuubi attempted to toss the ball directly to Tenten, but Sasuke quickly covered her. He let the girl cross the three-point line and go almost half-court because he was unwilling to physically assault her. Kyuubi threw the ball in, and Tenten shot right away, sending the ball sailing through the iron ring with a quick swish of the net. 13 minutes later, the orange ball was flying in a rainbow arc pattern through the air. "Good." Surf Kyuubi smiled at the two boys who were just staring in shock at what had just happened, saying, "That's game, Naruto-kun. 21-0. You didn't miss a single shot," Naruto said, pointing his finger at the mercenary with bun hair who was bouncing the ball and a very satisfied expression on her face. "What the hell just happened?" Sasuke asked his blonde friend as he rubbed his eyes and stared at her, not knowing how to process what he had just witnessed. "We never touched the ball the entire time." After staring in blankness for a while, Naruto's mind suddenly lit up. He disappeared and reappeared alongside Tenten as she left. "Okay Tenten, here's the plan. I'm going to go and piss off a bunch of street ball players and challenge them all, saying that I can beat them with any random person I see. Then you'll come up, looking all hapless, and I'll pick you. Then we'll put a wager on the game and break the bank. It's perfect." As the two left, Kyuubi glared after them, saying, "Damn it Naruto-kun. You were watching White Men Can't Jump again, weren't you?" as Sasuke watched them go. Picking up the pieces of his house that had been destroyed in the brief skirmish was what he did the day after his little incident with the guys wearing breathing masks. The only thing that Naruto couldn't fix before his girlfriend woke up was the broken window that the attackers used to escape. He had cleaned the blood off his floors and picked up and cleaned every knife he had thrown and used as a weapon. He had thrown out the one that had actually stabbed someone. Unfortunately, she marched him back to bed after learning that he had been up all night fixing his belongings, promising to take care of everything else for him when she woke up. After the brief battle with his would-be assassins, Naruto awoke on Monday to see his semi-demonic beau, who had a habit of clinging to him while she slept. Not that he was complaining. Mind you, in his familiar red hair. He felt around on the sleeping girl's body as sunlight came through the cracks in his shades and realized how much he loved Kyuubi's usual sleeping clothes. Naruto gave her shirts to wear while she slept because she spent most of her time in his house with him. However, over the past few months, he has been gradually cutting the size of the shirts he gave her, trying to push his luck and see how short he could make her wear a shirt before she punched him in the head. To his great satisfaction, he had not yet been called on it. Naruto was feeling a lot of her against him right now, and it wasn't a bad feeling at all. The shirts had started out going past her knees in some cases, but this one barely came up past her thighs, and being as clingy as she was in her sleep had ridden the shirt up above her stomach. He realized he truly loved this girl when they were lying in bed together so early in the morning. His only meaningful interactions with women were fleeting for many years. Sure, Rin, Shizune, or Makoto would occasionally give him a hug, but it wasn't really anything that demonstrated to him how much they valued him. Kyuubi had spent the entire weekend with him due to his exhaustion from practicing his techniques. It had been nearly 6 months since Naruto had studied a traditional jutsu. More than anything else, his attention had been on mastering the use of his demonic energy. His only options in the jutsu department were Bunshin Daibakuha Great Clone Explosion, Suiten, Teppodama no Jutsu Water Release, Liquid Bullet Jutsu, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu Shadow Clone Jutsu, and Kawarimi no Jutsu Substitution Jutsu. He hadn't even had a chance to learn the latter since he had limited access to the training grounds in Keishahin HQ until he had some tenure. If he attempted to make explosions anywhere in the city, the police would be so close to his back that not even a dozen favors from Sasuke could rescue him. His training to control his demonic abilities was the reason he hadn't attempted learning anything new. Overusing his demonic transformation was hard on his body, but eventually he would build up a tolerance that would let him use it for extended periods of time. He'd come a long way in turning it on, and he could use it instantly now. He had been concentrating on that aspect of his skills for a very straightforward reason. Kyuubi. He wanted her admiration for him. He didn't really care what people thought of him before they met, but once they were together, all he wanted was for her to be staring at him. He was motivated to complete the majority of his training by the knowledge that she approved of what he was doing. It was intoxicating to watch her smile when he had mastered something, or to hear her shout encouragement or approval when he was making progress. In order to feel confident that he could protect her, he also put a lot of effort into using his other powers. When it came to fighting, she was more skilled than he, because she had been trained and he had taught himself by sewing together mangled versions of whatever looked good. Her hand-to-hand technique was infinitely more fluid than his. It was designed out of necessity and tested in the only situations where it mattered. Real fights. If you fight Naruto, you can get him to adopt the Jeet Kune Do stance just before he runs up to you and elbows you in the face. He believed that if they ever engaged in a real fight, he would prevail since she had never had to defend herself before. Despite her superior control over his demonic techniques, he felt that she had more of them overall. She had never really been hurt before, and she had never killed anyone. Even though he knew she was capable of fighting, he was still concerned that she might get hurt. An excellent illustration of this occurred the other night when he was attacked in his own home by assailants. Had they arrived a few hours sooner, he would not have had the strength to repel them. He would have perished, she might have perished, or Kami is unsure of what else might have happened to her. It's been long since past him being the only focus. When he was cleaning his house and contemplating what might have happened, he wouldn't have felt sick to his stomach if it had only been him. If it had only been about him, he probably wouldn't have given a damn about 3 strangers attempting to kill him in the middle of the night. Instead, he probably would have laughed it off and made a joke about how successful he must be in order to have a hit put out on him. He wouldn't even be thinking about half of the things he was thinking about at the moment if it were just him. However, it was not about him. He had someone who genuinely cared about the end of his meaningless existence. At this time last year, nobody would have given a damn if he had died in a ditch somewhere. Sasuke would have certainly struggled until his funeral, but that would only have motivated him to put in more effort in order to safeguard those who were more important to him. He knew that Kakashi, Rin, and Obito would mourn him, but he also knew that another homeless child would enter their lives and take his place. All they would need to do was wait until Kakashi and Rin had a child. Currently, he was dating a girl who, despite her initial misgivings, somehow managed to see something redeeming about him. She forced him to consider his actions before taking them. He couldn't even recall the last time he'd gone gangbusting for fun, when he'd done anything that he knew would straight up land him in a detention facility, when he'd forgotten all about caring about getting home in time for the next day's sunrise, or when he'd taken his skateboard outside the house and just bombed a hill without any reason at all. He'd never really cared about his own well-being before, but she made him care about it just by being around and demonstrating her concern for him, if nothing else for her. It was the last thing he wanted to happen, but she had swiftly won his heart and, in spite of his best efforts, entered his professional life. Sasuke was unique. In addition to his ability to defend himself, Sasuke was practically untouchable because of his connections as the youngest brother of the city's fastest rising police officer and the son of the chief of police. Kyuubi wasn't. She was only 14 years old, who was going to watch her the way that his lowly orphan ass was watching Sasuke. Even a 10-year-old boy couldn't be scared away from her by him, much less freaks and killers. His strength was growing for her, not for himself. If it were that easy, he wouldn't have to put in as much effort to get stronger, rather, he would just wait for it to happen naturally. He had enough money by this point to be able to live off of simple jobs for the remainder of the year at the very least. Kyuubi's breathing pattern changed, signaling to him that she was finally awake. "Good morning, Naruto-kun." "What time is it?" she said, letting her eyelids open slowly to let in the light before finally resting her weary red eyes on Naruto, who was staring down at her wrapped around his chest. Looking at his digital clock, which he had neglected to set for alarm, Naruto tilted his head and said, "It's around 7:10. We still have until 9 to get to school. We could be late too, I don't care." "You're not skipping school, Naruto-kun, now that you're all better. Get up and get showered. I'll see if I can make you a breakfast that isn't ramen. Okay?" Kyuubi asked with a smile before kissing him. "You know I love you, right?" Naruto asked, rolling over to lay on top of her and planting a kiss on her forehead. "Maybe. You haven't been telling me enough lately. Do you have anything that can show me?" Kyuubi asked with a mischievous smile. With a smile, Naruto reached up her shirt to touch her breasts, saying, "Maybe, if you're willing to let me." "Not before school, Naruto-kun. If we start we're not going to stop, and I want our first time to be better than an early morning quickie, or something that ends with us being late." "Go take a shower," Kyuubi said, grabbing his hands and kissing the backs of them. "Take a shower with me to save some time?" Naruto asked, letting her go before getting to his feet and offering her a hopeful glance. With a cheerful expression on her face, Kyuubi, who had been stretching, picked up one of his pillows and hurled it towards him. "I'll say it again, Naruto-kun, if we start we'll end up being late if we even end up going to school at all." Naruto began to make pitiful noises at the door. "And if I don't go they'll call home and Dad will come looking for me. Guess where he'll check first?" Kyuubi said. With his shoulders hunched, Naruto ceased making noise and turned to face the restroom, saying, "I really need to get a new place." South Konoha High School later that day. Sasuke and Naruto, who were friends, spent their weekends catching up while standing out against lockers in the hallway in between classes. "Thanks so much for giving me the stick in the ass Hyuga kid to work with as a replacement on Saturday, douche." Sasuke half-heartedly glared at Naruto. Naruto laughed. "Hey, I tried to get you sweet little Hinata. She's just as politically cultured, and infinitely more pleasant to be around. I'm just glad I didn't have to see Neji face to face. I think he's still mad from the time I duct taped him to a chair." "So you got attacked on Saturday night?" Sasuke smirked at the memory, asking Naruto, who nodded, "Did you learn anything about them?" Laughed. "Other than the fact that they dress like mental patients with a penchant for scuba diving and none of them are any good in a fight. No, I almost killed all 3 of them right then and there. If the last one hadn't jumped out the window to get his teammates that I threw 3 stories to the ground, I would have finished them off. Opening his locker, Sasuke asked, "Why didn't you give chase?" Naruto's eyes peered down the hall while Sasuke put in his combination. "If I had given chase, then I would have been leaving Kyuubi-chan all alone in my house with a busted window. Set aside the fact that the assholes got inside anyway without it. What if there had been another one of them waiting in the wings? They could have taken her while I was off killing the goon patrol." "Think they'll be back?" Sasuke asked, arching an eyebrow. Nodded. "After what I did, they definitely will be. It's just a matter of when. I stabbed one in the shoulder and threw 2 of them for a 3-story fall. Who knows when they'll be back?" Grinning, Kiba ran up to Sasuke and Naruto and said, "Hey you guys, what's up?" Grinning pleasantly, Naruto said, "Not much. Just killing time until next class. 2 minutes to the bell. Let's go. I'm not trying to be a dropout like you, Naruto," Kiba said, glancing up at the wall clock. Nodding, Naruto and Sasuke trailed behind the boy who appeared feral. After 5 minutes, Kiba was becoming irritable. "Dude, I know that the class was all the way on the other side of school, but this is ridiculous. How the hell did we get lost? We've been here in this school for months now." "Calm down, Kiba. I personally don't care. All I was going to do was sleep anyway, so us being lost isn't a big deal to me," Naruto said, wiping his ear. Then, glancing around the empty hall they were alone in, he asked, "Where is everybody though? I don't hear a soul out here." When Sasuke noticed something, he looked around boredly and said, "Stop," pointing off to the side, he said, "That's my fucking locker. We've been walking around in a fucking circle the entire time." Kiba angrily exclaimed, "What the hell do you mean we've been walking around in a circle the whole time? That's absurd," as Naruto's mouth fell. With a suspicious gaze, Sasuke said, "Genjutsu." He briefly flashed his Sharingan and said, "Kai." With narrowed eyes, Naruto and Kiba instantly sealed their lips in a ram's sign, Kai. "How lucky for you guys. It seems they were able to break the Genjutsu." The voice seemed somewhat familiar to Naruto, who sighed and said, "Son of a bitch. It's those assholes that broke into my house on Saturday." "Dude, you had guys break into your house on Saturday? What the hell do you get up to outside of school?" Kiba asked Naruto, casting an inquisitive glance at him. "I'm an interesting guy, Kiba. How else do you think I got Kyuubi-chan? Chicks like the danger factor. You should try it. It works wonders on your game spitting." Naruto smiled at the dog-loving student. Sasuke laughed as he said, "So you guys are after Naruto? Sorry, but if I just stood back and let the Dobi die, then his red-haired girl would find me and tear me limb from limb. You guys should just head on back to where you came from. If Naruto by himself took you all out, then you can't beat all 3 of us when the numbers are even." With a laugh, the voice said, "So you think that the numbers are really even? We have an army. Kasumi Jusha no Jutsu Mist Servant Technique. With that, an army of assassins, most of whom appeared to be straight out of the walls, appeared from every corner of the hallway, dressed roughly like Naruto's original attackers." Kiba, who had lost count of the enemy, said, Any advice you guys?" as his eyes grew wide. As the Uchiha cracked his knuckles, Naruto and Sasuke grinned and said, "Yeah. Just keep moving." Sasuke and Naruto then threw themselves into the fight and started fighting the attackers wearing black clothing. After hitting a few of them, Naruto and Sasuke simply reformed and continued creeping towards them, which made them realize something was wrong. "Oh fuck this shit. Kage Bunshin no Jutsu Shadow Clone Jutsu," rolled his eyes and sent his clones charging into combat with the inky clones. The other boys did nothing more than kick back and watch as they cut a swath of violence through them. However, unlike Naruto's clones, they didn't vanish when hit. In fact, some of them divided into more clones and continued to advance. Naruto was clogging the hallway needlessly, so he dispelled his clones. Sasuke and Naruto returned to Kiba. "Okay, that didn't work. Those things aren't like my Kage Bunshin. They're not dispelling and they don't feel real. Every hit does next to nothing to them. It's almost like the Bunshin no Jutsu clone Jutsu, except that Jutsu dispels when you actually hit it." Following up on Naruto's previous remark, Kiba sniffed the air and said, "Guys, something doesn't smell right. I can't smell any other people in this hall except for us." Naruto laughed. "Deputy, Use your super duper pinwheel eyes and tell me what you see. Super duper pinwheel my foot up your ass, Sasuke scowled at Naruto, complaining. Putting his resentment aside for the moment, he answered the question, whoa. Naruto, Kiba. They're all fake, every single one of them. This is another genjutsu. Naruto was gnashing his teeth. So where are our visitors? What were they going to do if they just wanted to confuse us? What kind of a strategy is that? Sasuke nodded in agreement. I don't know, I don't care. Kiba, can you find them for us since you were able to tell the replications are fake? Let's go, Kiba said, nodding. I'll sniff for an unfamiliar scent. They can't be too far from their illusions. The three boys darted through the pile of dark-colored copies, avoiding them completely in the halls. Glancing over at Sasuke, Naruto said, keep your Sharingan on so we can tell what's fake and what's real. Kiba led the way, guiding them through hallways and corridors, stairs, and ultimately the main corridor close to the school's front, where they were all able to see them for the first time. As though experiencing a delusion, Kiba blinked and asked, Naruto, who did you piss off from the insane asylum? As they pursued the three unfamiliar fighters out the front door and into the courtyard, the other two boys laughed. They're here somewhere, Kiba said, stopping them there. They're probably spread out so that I can't track them so easily. Copies of Mubi, Kagari, and Oboro in suitably vibrant colors popped up everywhere in the courtyard. Sasuke. Naruto had to slap his hand in front of his face. With a pitying shake of his head, Sasuke said, more fake clones. Naruto spat on the ground. You guys suck. Is this the best you've got? Yeah, this might have worked if we didn't have a guy that can see through your bullcrap, a guy that can sniff out where you're hiding, and a guy that has enough stamina to chase you losers for the next 18 hours. Kiba laughed. Yeah, maybe if we had the stamina of 6-year-old little girls you might have had a chance to beat us with your weak-ass clones. You carry a knife? Why the hell do you need a knife? Kiba asked, a little alarmed as Naruto sucked his teeth and withdrew his combat knife from beneath his pant leg. This kind of crap happens so much it's better to be safe than sorry, Naruto said, glaring at Kiba as he pointed the blade at the mass of fake copies strewn across the field and stalked toward them with his kunai drawn. Now give us a location so we can end this, he said. Sasuke and Naruto took off in those directions after Kiba smelled the air and pointed in 2 different directions. Kiba then went off on his own to confront the last member of the attack team. Naruto didn't have to travel far because Oboro slithered up from the ground and tried to stab him with a kunai as soon as he got close to the corner of the school fence. With his combat knife, Naruto blocked and pushed him up against the fence. Naruto forced Oboro to drop the kunai after stabbing him in the hand that held it, and then he roughly pressed Oboro up against the fence with his forearm. Now you recognize that my clones are more awesome than yours. You guys are totally weak. I hope whoever paid for you to come after me either got a bargain deal for your contract or they're getting their money back, Naruto said, putting his knife to Oboro's neck before he could react. Oboro was unable to reply because Naruto's forearm was pressing against his windpipe. With an intense gaze, Naruto said, you're going to tell me who you're working for, or I'm going to make the rest of your very short remaining time on this earth very, very unpleasant. Alongside Sasuke. When Sasuke confronted Mubi, he basically tried to jump him using Doden. Dochu Aigyo no Jutsu Earth Release. Underground projection fish jutsu to emerge from the ground and stab him, while also making more of the Oboro Bunshin no Jutsu Haze clone jutsu. Sadly for him, Sasuke was able to detect that they were all fakes. By using the Sharingan, he was able to perceive Mubi's attack in slow motion and adjusted his dodge accordingly. Yes, you're going to jail, Sasuke said, grabbing Mubi by the collar as he continued his hopeless plan of falling back into the ground. With a sly grin on his face, he beat Mubi mercilessly before pulling his unconscious body back towards the courtyard's center. Alongside Kiba, Kiba's minor altercation with Kagari was incredibly simple. Without even waiting for Kagari to launch an attack, he knew exactly where his opponent was. So he didn't even need to blink to dash past his delusions and launch his Suga-piercing fang attack to pierce both Kagari and the ground. Kiba emerged from the hole he had dug and turned to face the lifeless body of Kagari, who appeared to have been struck by a large drill bit, which was, incidentally, pretty much what had happened. You carry handcuffs? Kiba asked Sasuke, who had his opponent handcuffed and was standing on the back of his head with one foot. Kiba moved away from the action. Sasuke sighed. This kind of crap happens so much it's better to be safe than sorry. Naruto's over there with the other guy. Ah. With a subtle smirk, Sasuke blinked and asked, "Where's your guy?" as he peered around Kiba. When Kiba finally sighed and looked down, he said, "So are you going to take me to jail yourself now, or are you going to make a call?" With a guilty expression on his face. "I kind of killed him. But it was a total accident, I didn't mean to." After giving Kiba a dead look for a while, Sasuke sighed and asked, "Where's the body?" Kiba gestured to the hole he had made in the ground, and Sasuke got up to go over there. "Watch this guy for me." Mubi laughed at Kiba's feet, handcuffed and face down on the ground. "Your first kill, huh? You pussy." Kiba bit his lip sharply as Mubi continued. "You probably want to cry right now, don't you? Huh? You punk." Kiba sighed heavily and leaned against the school plaque. A girl's sandal struck Mubi in the back of the head, sending him face first to the ground, severing his head. Kiba looked up, her expression perturbed as she glared down at Kyuubi, who was grinding his face into the pavement. She looked up at Kiba, who was staring at her, and said, "He and his BDSM friends broke into Naruto-kun's house and tried to kill him when he was sick with chakra exhaustion." Kaden. Gokakyu no Jutsu Fire Release, Great Fireball Jutsu. As Sasuke threw his fireball into the hole and kicked dirt into it to cover up the ashes, Kiba watched with a slack jaw and said, "Okay, you're good." He then turned to face Mubi, who was now bleeding profusely and had a broken nose. "Sai, I'm the one that has to carry his ass to the station. You know that, right?" Kiba asked. Kiba pointed to the hole and stumbled, causing Kyuubi and Sasuke to exchange glances before turning their raised eyebrows back to him. Kyuubi then raised his voice and said, "Kiba, do you have something to say?" Kiba gasped. "You just turned his remains to ashes. I killed that guy and you just destroyed the evidence. Isn't that against the law?" Kyuubi slapped Sasuke in the back of the head. "See? She's mad because Naruto won't let her pop her kill Cherry because she won't let him pop her cherry. Another slap to his head. Hitting me doesn't make it any less true." Sasuke and Kyuubi shrugged. "So? He was an illegal foreign assassin trying to kill you. I've killed people. Naruto's killed people. The only one of us standing out here that hasn't killed anyone is Little Miss Redhead here." Huffing and pouting, Kyuubi exclaimed, "Whatever, where's Naruto-kun?" After they all parted ways, Sasuke gestured for Naruto to go fight Oboro, saying, "He's over there somewhere and it sounds like he's getting a little interrogation off before school lets out in a few minutes." "Ah. See? I'll go and stop him," Kyuubi screamed as she turned to leave. Asking Sasuke again, Kiba turned to ask, "How do you guys do this stuff?" Sasuke stood next to Mubi before crouching and him off of his shoulder. "Because if we don't do it, then worse things will happen to people that can't fight back like us. If we had stayed in the school and fought them, then who knows what could have happened. How many people do you think could have broken their genjutsu? How many people would have been caught in the crossfire of our fight? What do you think he would have done to you if he had the chance? They pulled blades on us. We don't like killing, but sometimes you have to do it. How do you feel?" Kiba was clutching his stomach. "Kind of sick. I feel dirty. His blood puddled around my shoes. I don't think I can look at these again." Sasuke replied, "Good. You'll get over the being sick to your stomach thing, but as long as you know that it was a bad thing to do, you're fine. Get some new shoes, get some rest, do something that will get it off your mind and you'll be fine. I was like this when I first killed someone too." After pulling Oboro by his collar and walking back to the group, Naruto said to Kyuubi, "Kyuubi-chan, it wasn't going to leave the guy a scar or anything. He was a total pussy, a little bloodletting, and he was singing like a bird. I don't even think I hurt him badly at all. He must be scared of blood or something." "You had a grin on your face when you cut him across his arm," Kyuubi said with a scowl. Naruto looked around. "Where's Kiba's guy?" and shrugged, lifting Oboro onto his shoulder in the same way that Sasuke had done to his prisoner. "Enko Mitarashi does it whenever she cuts me and it freaks me right the fuck out every time. I would have licked the cut like she does too. That would have made him shit his pants, but that would have been totally gay." In the distance, Kyuubi said, "His ashes are smoldering in a hole over there." Kiba nodded as Naruto turned to face Sasuke. You give him the speech Itachi gave you when you acted like a bitch after you and I cleared that park bathroom of thugs 3 years ago? Naruto asked Kiba. As they all began heading toward the gate exit, Sasuke gave him a cruel glare and said, "Hey, I had blood all over me after we were done in there. It's not my fault that I didn't enjoy it like you did. My mother gave me enough hugs when I was growing up to not turn me into a sociopath." His expression was dry. "That's a low blow, deputy, and I am not a sociopath for enjoying that. They were taking women in there and raping them, it had to be done and we were the ones to do it. And you can thank me for all of the hugs Makoto Kasen gave you. She probably thought hanging out with me would fuck you up in the head." Kyuubi blinked and asked, "You mean it didn't?" as she peered between them. "Not you too, Kyuubi-chan. Why is everyone picking on me?" Naruto looked at Kyuubi with fake tears in his eyes. To stop him, Kiba grabbed him and said, "There's just something wrong with a 14-year-old boy that just tortured a guy with a knife making that face." Town Hall. After dropping off Kiba at one of the police stations, Naruto, Sasuke, and Kyuubi made their way downtown to meet Sasuke with Tenzo. 20 minutes had passed while they waited in the lobby for Naruto to summarize the information he had obtained from the attackers. "Okay, their names are Oboro, Mubi, and Kagari. Kagari's the one who's dead." Sasuke grumbled impatiently, "Their names are useless to us. They're just grunts, what matters is where they came from and why they wanted you." "I found some of that out, you ass. They're from a megacure, working for Keisha Tekkaji Hook Company, and I'm not going to start a company war over this. Ero Sennin told me that Keisha Tekkaji is one company that I never want to mess with, ever." Naruto gave him a glare that Kyuubi, massaging his shoulder, cut short. Upon examining the gravity of his previous remark, Sasuke thought, "Why not? They can't be that good, right? We just smoked 3 of their guys without getting a scratch." Naruto sighed. "There goes that assuming thing again, deputy. Only this time instead of making an ass of you and me it'll make us dead. Salamander Hanzo runs Keisha Tekkaji. You know? Salamander Hanzo. The guy that took over the whole damn country of Aim no Kuni with just himself and the company. Ero Sennin told me that he and Tsunade Ban were hired once by Orochimaru to head into Aim no Kuni with him to help him collect things for research. They ended up in the middle of a war zone and got attacked by some of his men. They killed them all and then Hanzo himself showed up and flattened them. He said they should have been killed that day, but he just let them live and walked away." Sasuke continued to fail to comprehend, "So? That just means that if 3 people, one of which was not a mercenary, can beat them like that, then an entire company attack force should have no real trouble." Sighing. "You're so stupid, I swear. Listen, dumbass. Ero Sennin actually fought me a little after we first met. I didn't lay a finger on him and I was going as hard as I could. Without changing. Hanzo beat him and the other 2 in their prime, so what makes you think that a fight like that wouldn't utterly end this company? We would be going against an entire country. Hell, when we lose, he might just march into High no Kuni and take the place over just for kicks." "Salamander Hanzo would really do that for something like?" Kyuubi asked, his eyes widening. Glancing around, Naruto said, "Look at what people know about Aim no Kuni." Kyuubi sighed. "No one knows much at all about Aim no Kuni these days, even though it is on the border." "That's right." Naruto gasped. "Hanzo's a totalitarian. He only lets information in and out through him. Ever since the last major power struggle between the nations there hasn't been anything on the place at all. Even if we did try to attack we'd be going in totally blind. The borders to that place are locked down tight. So there's nothing you can do to find out who's out to get you." Kyuubi nervously rubbed her arm. Sensing her nervousness, Naruto put an arm around her and said, "I didn't say that. Mubi, the other guy we didn't kill, was stupid enough to keep his briefing scroll on him, so I sent that to Ero Sennin himself at HQ and told him what had been happening. I'll get something on that soon, I know it." Sasuke Uchiha. As the children looked up, they saw the secretary calling out to them, "Director Tenzo will see you now." She stood up and escorted them to his office. Everybody got up and followed her. The trio of children took a seat in front of the city's director of agriculture's desk. The man had a lot of plants in his office, which gave the impression that it was a forest or jungle inside. The lights were also there to ensure the plants' well-being, but none of the children mentioned it. At just 24 years old, Tenzo was extremely young for holding a government position, especially one this kind. So you kids wanted to see me? What can I do for you? Tenzo asked. His short brown hair and black eyes belied his generally amiable personality. Rather than the typical government official's suit and tie, he wore a simple white button-up shirt and blue slacks. Sasuke opened up. Well, I don't know how to beat around the bush on this, so I guess I'll just come out and say it and hope for the best. Can you tell me anything about a man named Orochimaru? Both of them were palming their foreheads. I should have called Hinata and picked her up right after school. No tact. I swear to Kami he's as blunt as a 3-year-old. I don't even think he knows he's being that stupid right now. Tenzo's gaze widened. Why would kids like you be looking for a man like that? You do know who that is, don't you? Or else you wouldn't even be here in the first place. Sasuke turned back to Tenzo and said, Yes, I know who that is. I know what he's done to people's lives. I also know what he's done to you. Naruto and Kyuubi pointed at Sasuke, who just glowered and looked at them both. With his elbows resting on the desk and his mouth hidden, Tenzo linked his hands and said, Yes. So you know of the Mokuton cells that were implanted into my body during my infancy? Naruto and Kyuubi appeared confused, but Sasuke nodded. The group's female member exclaimed, Mokuton? What? With a smile on his face and a few hand gestures, Tenzo forced his arm to transform into a piece of wood and reach out to the children. This caused Naruto to startle out of his chair and ask, What the hell was that? I can produce wood from anywhere, even my own body, Tenzo said with a laugh, setting it back to normal. The first leader of this place had the same ability, but it didn't pass down to any of his other family. So how do you have it? Is it what Orochimaru did to you? Sasuke asked, nodding. He was aware that some abilities were not inherited and that a single person could occasionally die with them. Tenzo stared at his own hand. I was abducted as a baby and experimented on. Orochimaru wanted the Shoden Hokage's abilities and injected the man's DNA into 60 test subjects. I was the only one that survived. While Sasuke was already aware of this, something so twisted still infuriated him. So Orochimaru is just trying to play God? I need to kill this guy. Naruto, Kyuubi, and Sasuke all had disgusted expressions on their faces. Tenzo got up and explored the area. I've learned to deal with it. It's not really that bad. I can do so many things. I can help this city keep up its population of woodland and still maintain high lumber export income. The Sandaime Hokage has done so much for me since I was found. The man is amazing. He even helped me become a mercenary when I was 6. Different reasons caused the eyes of everyone to widen. The Hokage made you a mercenary? Sasuke asked, pointing out that even the mayor of the city had connections to the mercenary industry. You just told us that you were a mercenary? Kyuubi asked, recalling how her parents and Naruto had always taught her the value of keeping your identity hidden when not participating in mercenary activities. Naruto's statement regarding the start of his career. What the fuck do you mean you started when you were 6? I had to wait until 6 months ago before those bastards would even give me a tryout? Tenzo started to perspire while the three of them exchanged glances and said, That's what you're upset about. How stupid. The three of them got tick marks on their heads and started arguing. Kyuubi gently tugged on Naruto's cheeks. I thought you told me that a mercenary's identity was a very sensitive thing, Naruto-kun. I had to bite my tongue so many times when we were out in public because you had to make it seem like some kind of secret. I don't think I've met a single person with you that isn't a mercenary. Shaking the girl off his cheeks, Naruto said, How the hell did you get anyone to let you start when you were 6? He mumbled, It varies from person to person. Most of us actually do care whether or not people know, but some don't really care. Sasuke sighed. If he has Mokuton, it probably wasn't too hard. But the Hokage? Him too? Is there anyone I'm going to meet that doesn't have a hand in this stuff? Smiled. Come on, kid. Do you really think that with all of the groups and movements in the place that he wouldn't know about or have some kind of standing relationship with most of them? He's actually very close to Keishahin. He used to run the place. The teenager with black hair stood up and said, That means he was Orochimaru's sensei. Do you think we could get a meeting with him? He's the closest thing I've got now to finding out about him. Naruto and Sasuke's eyes brightened. I'm not sure. He was kind of reluctant to talk about the whole Orochimaru thing even back when I was a kid, though that might have been because I was the one asking about him. Why are you even after Orochimaru anyway? Tenzo said, standing in contemplation as he began tending to his plants. Sasuke began to speak before Naruto cut him out. Deputy here stumbled across Orochimaru's case when he was at the police station, and instead of just taking the red pill and letting it lie like a smart person, he decided to take the blue pill and see just how far this rabbit hole goes. Well, this is all I can do for you kids today. I hope I helped you out, Tenzo said with a sound. Sasuke reciprocated with a handshake. Well, it sure didn't hurt to listen to you today. Sorry for taking time out of your day to drum all of this up. It's not a problem. You kids take care. It was getting pretty boring around here anyway, Tenzo said with a good-natured laugh. HQ of Keisha-hine. Naruto was eventually ambushed by Rin and Haku as he was leaving the base. They both noticed him at the same moment and went to attack him. Naruto-kun was finally pushed away by them after they had been prodding him for 5 minutes and asking him if he was okay. He said, yes, I'm fine. Those guys were as weak as kittens. Actually, kittens would have at least drawn blood with their claws. Haku grumbled. I told you to keep a good cover. You got exposed after only a few weeks and did 2 high-ranked missions, one of which had you kill one of our rogue operatives. We do have rival companies, you know. They'll try to take you out if they can. Yeah, whatever. I still think they were hired by an outside source. Why would Salamander Hanzo have beef with me? Said Naruto, leading the two as he walked down the hall. Maybe because you got Tsunade to come back to Konoha. You do know about their history, don't you? Rin said as she approached him from the side. He grumbled, she's only staying until his business with Ero Sennin is concluded. After that she'll just go on home. Knowingly. Really? She's been here for a few weeks now. You would think that she would have wrapped up whatever she was here for and left by now. She's also been asking questions about a certain blonde boy. He was intrigued. Me? What would she want to know about me? And why the hell didn't she ask me herself? He complained that she wasn't his mother, to which Haku reprimanded him, saying, stop needlessly cursing Naruto-kun. Haku elbowed him. Rin washed Naruto's hair and said, she's been asking things like when your birthday was, who your parents are, how old you are. Things like that. She could have asked me 2 of those questions herself. Naruto scowled as he removed Rin's hand from his head. How would any of you possibly know who my parents are? I don't even know myself, and none of you even met me until I was at least 5 years old. Rin sighed, she just did. You're rising up the ranks fairly quickly, Naruto-kun. He rubbed his head sheepishly. I didn't really want to go this far so fast. The last mission made me think about moving out of the apartment. I made so much money on it. I'm thinking of getting a house. It would definitely make quite a few things easier, but I still have nothing to put into a house if I had one. Haku was beaming. You could be a pack rat like Zabuza Tucson. He takes anything that he likes when he's on missions and finds somewhere to put it in our house. It's full of so much useless junk, I swear he could open his own salvage yard. Haku, I guess Zabuza Tucson wants to see me for something, haha. Bye Rin-san. Naruto-kun, Haku said as he froze and spun around, laughing nervously. He then disappeared from view. So what's going on with your little Uchiha friend, Obito's nephew? Is he still digging where he shouldn't? Rin and Naruto asked as they made their way back down the hallway. He ran his hand through his locks. You have no idea. First of all, he just does not understand that the person he's trifling with is fully capable of killing us. And by us I mean me, because if it ends up going down it's going to hit me first. He just thinks that because I'm the only person that's ever beaten his ass except Itachi that he can fight anyone. Second of all, he's moving too fast. He's not getting strong enough fast enough to be barreling ahead with his investigation. It's maddening. Maybe he needs a reality check? Rin asked, nodding. What did you say, Rin-ni-chan? Can you repeat that for me? Naruto asked as he halted in the hallway. Rin raised her eyebrows. Maybe he needs a reality check? You know? Something to show him that he isn't as good as he thinks he is. Something to humble him before he gets himself in over his head one of these days. We did it to you when you fought Haku, remember? She replied with a sarcastic grin. Yeah, Senbon, my ass, whatever. I'll go into the fetal position later, right now I'm prophesying, Naruto said with a thinking cap on. Rin scowled at him and said, you're not psychic, Naruto-kun. You used that wrong, you should have said pondering. I can hire you guys for missions of my own right. Naruto shushed her, his thoughts still racing. With a smile on his face, Rin said, yes you can, Naruto-kun. You even get a discount. You still have tons of money from your last 2 missions that you would probably never use, right? After spotting his intended destination. With a nod and a menacing hand rubbing, Naruto said, this is going to be fun. Scratching at the door like a puppy, Naruto begged the red-headed guy imprisoned in his room, come on Kyuubi-chan, let me in. Behind the door was a sigh. No Naruto-kun, the last time I tried changing in here you ended up walking in and out so many times I swear you saw every inch of me naked at least once. Thoughtlessly, the smirk was quickly removed from his face. And this is my damn house by the way. What's with these locked doors? This is like prison. No Leroy. I'm bilingual, there's a difference. Naruto grinned. I told you that was an accident Kyuubi-chan. From behind the door, Kyuubi arched an eyebrow and said, you are? Ignoring her, Naruto stood up and said, thank you, no more locked doors. You done? We need to go meet Hinata-chan already. We're late, Kyuubi said, blowing her bangs out of her face as Naruto's bedroom door opened to find her staring at him glumly. Turning around and grabbing his jacket, Naruto rolled his eyes and muttered, not my fault. He had no choice but to yell in shock and pain when Kyuubi clamped her clawed hand around his cheek. What was that Naruto-kun? She asked in a sweet voice, giving him a smile that promised more suffering. A trickle of blood ran down Naruto's cheek, and he whimpered, nothing, baby. Let's get going before I make us too late. Good boy. Let's go already, Kyuubi said as she let him go and kissed him on the cheek, wiping the blood from his wound. With a sigh, Naruto followed her out his front door and asked, why can't my girlfriend be all meek and stuff? Why does she have to have the power to tear me limb from limb if need be? As he grabbed his house keys. Hurry up Naruto-kun. On my way, sighed Naruto. Mansion Hyuga. When Naruto finally noticed a familiar little Hyuga girl while waiting outside with Kyuubi, he grinned and said, well now, they've got you answering doors. Little sparkler. How are you? As he approached the main gate, Hanabi got a tick mark on her head and gave the blonde, who was with a redhead she had never seen before, a fierce look that said, call me by my name. My name is Hanabi Whisker Face. I know you name Sparkler-chan, but calling you Hanabi is boring. I thought we were closer than that. Where's your sister? We have plans tonight, Naruto said with a cheeky smile to the young child. Hanabi said, Hinata Nisan is out in the garden. Do you want me to get her for you? As she gave Naruto a confused look. Let me in. I want to see the place again and Kyuubi-chan has never even been here before, Naruto said, glancing from Hanabi to Kyuubi and back. Hanabi shrugged, realizing that although she enjoyed making fun of Naruto, he had already earned her trust by pushing her buttons. Reaching the unlock code from her end of the gate, she let the guests in. As soon as they crossed the manor's threshold, Naruto motioned for Kyuubi to follow him inside and grinned broadly. Well? He asked Hanabi, casting an expectant glance in her direction. Spreading his arms, he called out for her to approach, saying, come on little Tsukime Moon-ai-chan. You know you want to. Hanabi blushed and turned away, then sprinted into Naruto's arms, who gave her a bear hug. Naruto laughed. You miss me that much? I came over here all the time after I was done training with Kyuubi-chan. Hanabi grumbled, you never did anything with me. All you ever did was do things with Ne-sama. Sparring with her and sitting with her. He grinned. Well, maybe if you actually tried coming into the room instead of shadowing us from a distance I would have played with you. I thought that after the first week I somehow pissed you off and you didn't like me that much. I really come over here for you too anyway, not just princess, both of you. Hanabi blinked, perplexed. After giving the girl a pat on the head and entering the house with Kyuubi trailing closely behind, Naruto smirked at her expression and said, you both need to hang out with someone that isn't rich. I am that person. What do you mean we need to hang out with someone that isn't rich? Hanabi asked as he raced to catch up with them and show them where Hinata was. Naruto laughed. Well, all you guys spend time with is people that have obscene amounts of money. You've never met anyone that actually has to work for a living. By work I mean someone that actually works for someone, like someone that provides a service, like people that work at the stores you buy your expensive crap from. A regular person. so that you don't think you're better than anyone else like Neji does. This further perplexed Hanabi. Neji nodded. Neji treats people like crap. The only reason he's at least cordial with me is because I saved you two once. That and me and Sasuke Uchiha both proved that for all of his Juken talents he's still a sucker for a good right hand in duct tape. He noticed that Hanabi was looking blank. I beat his ass before. That kid needed an attitude adjustment. I had to let him know that having a famous name does all of jack shit when there are crazy people like me roaming the streets. After giving him a sharp poke in the shoulder and grinning down at Hanabi, Kyuubi said, "Sorry about that. He's not very good with kids. Don't curse in front of the little girl Naruto-kun." "What are you talking about, Kyuubi-chan? I'm one of Tsukime-chan's positive male role models. Possibly her only one. I'm better than Neji, that's for damn sure," Naruto said, rolling his eyes. Kyuubi then gave him another bop. Hanib took them to the mansion's garden atrium, where Hinata sat by the pond in silence, her back to the three. As he attempted to stealthily approach the girl with the dark blue hair, Naruto gestured to the other two girls with his finger. As Hinata noticed him, Naruto said to himself, "Hello Naruto-kun." He was certain that she was grinning contentedly, and she confirmed his suspicions by turning around and flashing her Byakugan in addition to her smile. "I swear that thing is cheating, princess. How can I sneak up on you with that thing blazing?" Naruto said, clearly deflated. Hinata stood up and grinned at Kyuubi, saying, "Kyuubi-chan, have you been keeping him out of trouble?" She laughed and said, "That was the point of having it on Naruto-kun. I try, but trouble seems to find my blind spots around this guy. Are you ready to go?" Kyuubi asked Hinata as he approached and hugged her. "Hanabi-chan, I'll see you later tonight, okay?" Hinata asked, releasing her hold and nodding as she turned to face Naruto, who was speaking with Sasuke on the phone. Walking back towards the girls, Naruto said, "You do have the tickets, right? Because I had to take the girls to the theater." "I'm paying you back, you asshole. Calm down." "Yes, I know you don't want to see that fucking movie. Do you think I do? It's for the girls, man. You just have to sit and bear it for 2 hours, alright? I'm going to be right there too." As soon as Naruto hung up the phone, Kyuubi laughed, assuming Sasuke's attitude to be along the lines of, "Is Sasuke going to behave until we get there?" Naruto sighed. "If I didn't love you so much I would never have let you talk me into seeing this damn movie. I can't believe you girls like that crap." "What's wrong with vampire movies, Naruto-kun?" Hinata asked him as they began to leave the mansion. Laughed, "Vampire movies? Nothing. Dracula is classic, Blackula is epically awesome, the Blade movies are 100% manly and badass. There is nothing cool about the Twilight movies to me. They're an exercise in teenage angst and emo attitude. Actually Sasuke should love this movie, all things considered." Naruto nodded his head in agreement. "I feel kind of bad though. I wish we could take little Tsukime-chan with us. I want to spend some more time with her, she's cute." Kyuubi practically purred to Naruto as she leaned on his shoulder and asked, "Wanting to get some practice in raising kids for the future, Naruto-kun?" To the two girls' amusement, Naruto stammered incoherently. Hinata decided to continue to tease him. "If that's how you feel, Naruto-kun, I'm sure I can convince Oto-sama to sign off a babysitting mission for Hanabi-chan under the guise of a bodyguard job. I think she would like that." Like a fish, Naruto gaped at the girls. When he finally shut up, he just guided them to their destination. When they encountered Sasuke outside the theater, he was a grumpy mess. "Any particular reason that you're late, Dobi?" they asked. "Sorry. You didn't have much trouble waiting on us, did you?" Naruto shrugged. "Actually, I got propositioned about 12 times by other people going to see the movie. Twilight brings out the worst in people, you know," said Sasuke as he handed Naruto 3 tickets. "And you didn't take them up on it while you were waiting? What the hell is wrong with you?" Naruto asked him with a look of incredulity. "That's because 10 of the times it happened, I was hit on by dudes. The other 2 might as well have been dudes from the way that they looked," Sasuke said, grabbing Naruto by the collar. Before Sasuke could swing his hand back to strike Naruto in the face, the girl who was understandably amused by the scene pointed behind him. Naruto grinned and said, "Oh, well now I'm even more surprised you didn't take them up on their offers." With a sigh, Sasuke gave Naruto a fierce look before releasing him. "Hey there girls. You guys ready for the movie?" he asked, smiling broadly, holding his resentment inside so he could develop a fantastic ulcer in around 10 years. The blue-haired heiress welcomed Sasuke with a brilliant smile and said, "Hello Sasuke-kun. I hope you haven't been too terribly stressed waiting for us." Kyuubi and Hinata nodded. With a few blinks, Sasuke turned to face Kyuubi and Naruto, who were amusingly staring at each other while their arms were linked. With a stoic expression, he turned back to Hinata and said, "It's fine, it's just that getting hit on a million times kind of irks me after a while." After accepting a ticket from Sasuke, Hinata said to the group, "It's probably time for us to head in. We've probably missed 10 minutes of the feature." When Sasuke turned to face Naruto, he merely grinned and waved him inside, saying, "Make that case of yours useful and find her in the theater. Go on now." Naruto then used his hands to shoo Sasuke inside. Sasuke just scoffed and put his hands in his pockets as he entered. They both followed, Kyuubi nudging Naruto, asking, "Are you trying to hook them up, Naruto-kun?" Sheepishly looked away. "If I said yes, would that be so bad? I'm tired of hearing him bitch about his fangirls, so why not attempt to get him with girl that isn't a fangirl? It's perfect. I trust the deputy. I want to be able to watch over Hinata and Hanabi and make sure Neji doesn't fuck their heads over with his bullshit, and I can't be there all the time. Sasuke will help make sure Hanabi doesn't get all stuck up like the rest of her family. She may become a little emo with him around, but I'll fix that." "He's going to kill you when he finds out what you're doing," Kyuubi said, shaking her head. Chuckling, Naruto waved his finger. "After what I'm going to do to him later, I doubt he'll even remember that I'm the one that orchestrated this little escapade. Now let's go watch your shitty movie." After 3 hours, as Kyuubi clung to Naruto's back, the group of friends walked beside him, complaining, "I think I just lost man points by watching that movie." Sasuke laughed as he said, "I don't think that going to that movie with women qualifies as a loss of man points. Are you sure you're not trying to overcompensate for something? All right, we're heading in different directions. Deputy, you take Princess home, I've got Kyuubi-chan. It would be weird as hell if you showed up at her house taking her home," Naruto said, glaring at Sasuke and gesturing to the girl clinging to his back. With a nod, Sasuke turned to face Hinata. "Well, shall we?" she asked, grinning, as she led him to her house. Naruto and Kyuubi soon separated into 2 groups and headed for the rooftops. Yep, it's on tonight. Just come find me and you'll get your cue. Yes, this is going to be awesome. Just get over here. Me and Kyuubi-chan want to laugh at something tonight," Naruto said as he took out his phone and dialed a number. Then, he hung up and turned to face Kyuubi. "You're bad, Naruto-kun. I can't believe I'm letting you do this to Sasuke. This is akin to overkill, you know that, right?" the red-haired girl said with a smile on her face as she shook her head. Laughed. "Maybe so, but it's so necessary. If he doesn't realize how dangerous the people are in what he's getting into, he'll get himself killed. I'm only being a caring and compassionate friend by doing this for him. The fact that I'll be taping it for posterity and for my own personal entertainment is just a plus. Now come on, we need to pick him off at just the right time." Alongside Sasuke, somewhat apologetically said to Hinata, "I wish I could tell you more about this case I have going on, but Naruto and a partner of mine keep saying that the less I say the better it is for everyone." With a smile, Hinata said to Sasuke, "It's okay, Sasuke-kun. If Naruto-kun says it's not a very good idea, then it must not be." Sasuke looked at what she was saying. "You really take stock in his words, don't you? Is this still about his mission and him saving you? He was there when you got caught too. Naruto is a good fighter, but I wouldn't say he was the smartest guy in the world. He's kind of crazy if you haven't noticed." Chuckled. "Yes, I'm aware that Naruto-kun isn't playing with a full deck, so to speak, but he's still a good person. I trust his judgment for that reason. He's not really a fool, as you can attest to, Sasuke-kun, or else I doubt you would be around him as much as you are." Sighing, Sasuke said, "Yeah, I guess so." They eventually arrived at her mansion and stood in front of the gate, saying, "Well, Sasuke-kun, I appreciate you walking me home. I hope the movie didn't make you feel too uncomfortable." Sasuke laughed. "No, a shirtless werewolf that didn't put anything on for 2 hours didn't make me uncomfortable in the least. What are you talking about?" With a laugh, Hinata opened her mansion's gate and said, "Well, good night, Sasuke-kun. I'll see you soon." Sasuke turned to go to his own house as Hinata waved to him and headed for hers. Sasuke was forced to dodge and search around for his attacker, Sharingan active, when a massive sword crashed into the ground in front of him a short distance away. He had pulled out his phone and was texting Naruto for an unknown reason. His Kekai Genkai was rendered useless as a mist began to envelop him. Well, isn't this just fucking great? Sasuke muttered to himself. A rough voice emerged through the mist, seemingly out of nowhere, saying, "So you're my target, are you? You don't look like much Uchiha. I think I may have overcharged for this one. Oh well, money is money, and I get paid when you die." Until a crushing pressure knocked Sasuke to the ground, he kept a watchful eye out for any sign of an enemy. Sasuke discovered that he was having trouble breathing. Sasuke had never before been struck with actual intent to kill. He was never able to intimidate anyone who had fought him before, so why is he now being attacked in the middle of the night on the street by a man who can bring him to his knees without actually fighting? "I need to call someone. Anyone can help me," Sasuke cried as he yanked his phone out of his pocket and frantically combed through his contact list in an attempt to locate a helpful person. He ultimately suffered a kunai to the hand, though, which caused him to drop and shatter his phone on the ground. Sasuke, starting to tremble from the killing intent, silently cursed. A deep chuckle echoed around him. "You're not getting out of this so easily, boy. This isn't some little street punk or a low-life mercenary not worth half their salary. And what exactly do you think falling to your knees will do? You're like a whimpering dog right now, waiting to be put down. If that's how you're going to die, then I guess I'll help you with that." The voice disappeared into the mist that concealed Sasuke's distress from any onlookers who could have offered assistance. Sensing a tensing from behind, Sasuke sidestepped a swing of the same sword that had nearly killed him at the beginning of the battle. He looked over, but there was nothing there to see, not even the sword that had become lodged in the ground. From a distance, Kyuubi and Naruto were observing. "Sasuke is really taking focused killing intent badly, isn't he? Haven't you tried blasting him with some before?" Kyuubi sighed and turned to face her boyfriend, who was wearing a serious expression. His enhanced eyes were used to keep an eye on the battle. "Yeah, I have, but Sasuke never considered me a threat before. Never in all of the years we've known each other. By the time I learned about killing intent, it wouldn't work on him. Itachi uses it on him all the time, but he never identifies it as what it is. Basically, he never learned how to deal with it, and that's not a good thing here, because the only thing worse than knowing someone is going to kill you is not knowing where it's coming from." "Don't you think this is too much?" Kyuubi asked, frowning as she saw the fear on the young Uchiha's face thanks to her own enhanced vision. Laughed. "Kyuubi-chan, I did this myself years ago. It's basically how me and Zabuza met. I started hanging out with Haku and he didn't like me. Remember I told Zabuza to shake him up and let him know his place. He won't kill him unless he forgets." "Damn it." Sasuke punched the pavement several times, trying to calm his pain-induced anxiety. "I now understand why Naruto always carries a weapon. Please, gather yourself before he stops teasing you." By the time his thought was complete, his fists were bleeding onto the floor. Fear and a submissive tick in his mind caused Sasuke to unintentionally turn off his Sharingan, and he was breathing heavily in an attempt to gain control. "There's no way this guy can defeat me in a straight fight," Sasuke growled to himself. "All he needs to do is find me. He's a pushover when it comes to me one-on-one, so he needs to do this." Kaden. Housenka no Jutsu Fire Release. Phoenix Immortal Fire Jutsu. Sasuke sprang into the air and whirled around quickly, attempting to somehow make contact with his attacker's body by launching tiny fireballs in all directions. He missed everything, though, save for a few short embers popping in the mist. "Well, it looks like you have a little fight in you. It seems like I won't be able to just have you off yourself from the tension. I'll actually have to work." "Whatever. Come on out and find out exactly how easy I'll make it for you. Unless hiding in the mist and throwing your voice is the best such a big, bad killer like you can do." "Huh, what a joke." Sasuke scoffed, masking his growing frustration and fear. There was muttering before the voice continued. "I'm an assassination specialist, punk. It's my job to not get caught killing like some kind of thug, but I guess if you're really that comfortable with facing down the one that will kill you here, I can grace you with my presence." The mist parted enough for Sasuke to see a figure approaching him carrying the previous sword, and he finally stopped in front of him, his face showing a bored expression. Heavy footsteps then emanated from in front of Sasuke. He was wearing dark camouflage pants, camouflage arm warmers that ended at his elbows, short, spiky black hair, bandages covering his mouth and nose, and no shirt. The man was taller than Sasuke and very muscular. "Who are you? Why are you here?" Sasuke asked, clenching his teeth. With a tone that betrayed extreme boredom, the man raised an eyebrow and said, "What was I supposed to say again? Oh yeah. I am Zabuza Momochi, and Orochimaru has sent me here to get rid of you." With a pitying shake of his head, Naruto palmed his face and said, "There goes the work. There's no way he's buying that now. Motherfucking Zabuza. I can see why he does this shit now. His dialogue totally sucks." Stifling a chuckle, Kyuubi said, "You get what you pay for Naruto-kun." Naruto had a tick mark placed on his forehead. "I paid 100,000 ryo. For that kind of money I expect a goddamn musical show tune number to be done flawlessly. Now how am I going to move out of my old place?" "Well, it's about time he sent one after me. I assume he's feeling the heat now," Sasuke said, gritting his teeth. "Sure kid, whatever. Come on over here so I can kick your ass and finish my job already," Zabuza shrugged after blinking. Naruto and Kyuubi both started to perspire. "He didn't actually buy that, did he? Oh Kami Naruto-kun. I thought he was supposed to be smart or something," Kyuubi said, pointing to the scene in front of them. Naruto raised his eyebrows. He really thinks Orochimaru knows of him as a real threat. I don't know whether to laugh my ass off at the insinuation or jump down there and tag team whoop his ass with Zabuza for thinking that stupid shit. "You picked him as a friend, Naruto-kun. Is it his fault he suffers from delusions of grandeur?" Kyuubi asked, brushing her bangs out of her vision. Naruto laughed. "Yes actually, because I would have thought that Itachi would have beaten that out of him by now. I guess going to public school and being seen as a noble among civilians actually did end up going to his head." Naruto then eagerly rubbed his hands together. "That being said, I'm going to enjoy the hell out of this." Returning to the cloud-filled street, Zabuza hefted his sword over his shoulder and stared down at Sasuke. "So are you going to attack or what?" Sasuke asked, standing in his stance. Zabuza was simply saying, "Fine, I forgot. You Uchiha like to let others come to you and then counter. Fine, I guess I'll have to. Car." A car passed between them, its fog lights on, and Sasuke and Zabuza stepped aside. "As I was saying, I guess I'll have to indulge your little strategy, won't I?" they both said, taking their places as if nothing had happened. Zabuza charged at Sasuke, who parried his sword blows and pulled away once more. "Damn Sharingan. I swear I see that too much," Zabuza uttered. Sasuke continued to look at Zabuza with a, "Where's the real you? This is just a stupid clone. I know someone that uses these damn things all the time. You can't fool me with this, especially when he can make a shitload more than you can." He chuckled. "Well, if you can beat my clone, then maybe I'll let you fight me. Of course you still have to beat the clone first." With a sly grin, Sasuke lunged in for the kill. Zabuza swiftly swung his sword above his head. Sasuke shot chakra into his legs, giving him a brief rush of speed that allowed him to slip past Zabuza's defenses and land a body blow. Zabuza brought his sword down with such force that the pavement cracked. Sasuke ultimately struck Zabuza's sword flat, flinching from the unexpected wound. With the sword handle serving as a stabilizer, Zabuza launched himself into a kick that sent Sasuke hurtling into the side of a parked car. After it smashed into the side window, the Uchiha got up from the ground and cleaned some blood off his elbow. He cursed to himself as he saw Zabuza's enormous sword, saying, "Yeah. I really need to start carrying some kind of weapon." Sighing, Zabuza leaned on the pommel of his sword and said, "Over here, Uchiha punk, I'm dying of old age." Straining his superior eyes to find any kind of opening to exploit, Sasuke ignored him. The swordsman appeared at ease, but he was prepared for anything. The fact that it was only a clone was the worst thing. Since he was unable to locate the genuine one, it wasn't even the real one. Sasuke looked around and realized they were actually encircled by parked cars. He had no idea, and understandably, he didn't care, that apparently residents of the res didn't like using driveways or something. Sasuke grinned, realizing that he had an idea. Zabuza had jerked his sword up again to attack, and Sasuke ran at him. At the last second, Sasuke veered to the side and picked up a rock off the ground. Zabuza was closing in on him, but Sasuke was able to get away from him by using the parked cars as a diversion. Car is cheap, cheap, cheap. Give me something used or inexpensive. Eventually, Sasuke located an Oldsmobile and hid behind its trunk. Given that it was in fairly good shape, he scowled. Well, when he was done with it, he could restore the car. Using the rock, Sasuke broke the back lock and unlocked the trunk. He swiftly searched for anything he could use as a weapon with the Sharingan. Prior to reaching for anything, he had to avoid a blow from Zabuza. After jumping inside, Sasuke closed the trunk over his head. What the hell? Are you hiding, kid? Zabuza asked, amused, tapping the trunk with his sword. Come on out, Uchiha brat, and I promise it won't hurt too badly. Sasuke struggled to find his way around the dimly lit trunk until he arrived at the rear, where the rear seat parted to reveal the car's cabin. After prying it open, Sasuke collapsed inside. Zabuza and Sasuke moved to the side of the car with the intention of severing it in two. When Sasuke saw Zabuza lift his sword above his head, he gasped. Sasuke opened the door and swung it open, trying to save his teenage life, but instead he knocked Zabuza down by hitting him in the side with a metal door. Zabuza turned to water when Sasuke struck him in the head with a tire iron before he could stand up. A clap sounded, and Sasuke leaned against the car and wiped his brow. With a moan of frustration, he got out of the car and confronted the real Zabuza. Beneath his bandages, Zabuza was grinning broadly and said, Well done, boy. You beat my Mizu Bunshin, which was only 1/10 as strong as me. Well, I've still got strength to spare for you if that's what you're worried about, Sasuke said with a sardonic laugh. Shaking his head, Zabuza said, Well, let's have some fun then, punk, while raising his sword. As he saw Sasuke defeat Zabuza's Mizu Bunshin, Naruto suppressed his laughter, saying, Where the fuck did he come up with that? I'm impressed, entertained. What are you doing, Naruto-kun? Turning around, Naruto and Kyuubi saw Itachi standing there with a blank expression on his face. Kyuubi suggested that Naruto clarify, Well, Itachi, here's the thing. Sasuke needs to get his ass kicked by someone not named Naruto or Itachi in order to get it into his head that he needs to stop moving so fast with his case. Because if he does by some stroke of luck find Orochimaru, he's going to get his ass destroyed. So you're trying to humble my little brother since neither you nor I can do it ourselves? Itachi asked, stepping closer and lowering himself to watch alongside the two half-demons. Nodded. Yeah, pretty much. Zabuza won't kill him, he'll just beat the shit out of him and leave him there. You don't mind carrying him home, do you? If I did it I would get caught by your mom or dad, and that's some shit I don't need to deal with. With a nod, Itachi continued to watch Sasuke and Zabuza. A girl with dark hair emerged on the roof with everyone else in a whirlpool of water. With an eyebrow raised, Naruto asked the newcomer, Haku Nichan. What are you doing here? I was told that Zabuza Tucson was commissioned for a mission that was requested by you, Naruto-kun. I'm here because I wanted to know what stupid thing you have him up to, said Haku, following the others to the building's edge. He just has him beating up Sasuke Uchiha as a lesson to him. Hey, come and watch with us, Haku-chan. It's actually been pretty entertaining so far, Kyuubi said as Naruto rolled his eyes. With a sigh, Haku looked at Itachi and said, Oh, hello there, Uchiha-san. Sasuke's brother, I assume? At him. Itachi gave a nod and remained quiet. Haku frowned at his lack of reaction when Naruto patted him on the shoulder and said, Yeah, that Itachi thing. He's not mean, he's just socially awkward. You know what I mean, Itachi? After sparing Naruto a Sharingan-enhanced glance, Itachi returned his attention to the battle. Naruto smiled at the girl with the ice weapon, saying, You see? No shut up, Naruto, or anything like that, just a simple glance with his family pink eye. Before Itachi's eyes could meet his own, Naruto tried to quickly turn his head back to the battle. Itachi, I'm not making eye contact with you when you have those damned Kekkei Genkai blazing, so silently gripe at me later, okay? The last time I did, you ended up hypnotizing me to do something stupid. Still, I think your mom liked it when I kissed her, he said, feeling Itachi's stare burning a hole in the side of his head. Naruto began to sense Kyuubi's intent to kill, and his eyes grew wide. Goddamn Genjutsu, you still fucking got me, didn't you? You suck, Itachi, making me say that shit out loud. Naruto turned to Kyuubi, who had bared her claws, and exclaimed, "Baby no." Before Haku frozen his mouth, Itachi was grinning and turning away. Haku scolded him, saying, "Shut up Naruto-kun, I'm watching the fight." In the background, Naruto was quietly taking his punishment. With his sword raised, Zabuza was about to trade blows with Sasuke when he charged in, saying, "You probably can't hack it without that sword of yours, huh? Who do you think you're talking to, kid?" Zabuza asked, grabbing Sasuke by the back of the head and pulling him into a knee strike to the body that nearly doubled the boy over. Zabuza was easily blocking and dodging Sasuke's attack. With a sly smile, Zabuza retreated and said, "You were saying?" With a yell, Sasuke leapt back in without hesitation and tried to launch a Superman punch off the side of a car. He got back up and wiped his mouth, saying, "You're lucky I don't have any weapons on me." Zabuza was taken aback by the brief misdirection, but he was able to recover and avoid being hit. Zabuza pushed Sasuke back into the car and attempted to kick him in, but the kick missed and left a deep dent. When Zabuza missed his kick, Sasuke brought the big man down by kicking him in the back of the knee that was planted on the ground. Sasuke attempted a rolling axe kick to take the advantage and end the fight, but Zabuza managed to catch Sasuke's leg from the ground and got to his feet while holding Sasuke in his arms. Zabuza laughed as he walked down the street, slamming Sasuke into car after car. Sasuke repeatedly struck cars' hoods, side mirrors, hubcaps, and windshields with his body in retaliation for Zabuza's violent blows. Zabuza ultimately threw Sasuke back onto the "Do you get the point yet, punk? You're out of your league here. Orochimaru could squash me like an insect if I tried to fight him, and you think you're going to arrest him? What do you think he'll do to you if you actually find him? Orochimaru will laugh right in your face, and then he'll kill you in the most humiliating, gruesome way imaginable, and that's if you're lucky." Wiping blood from a cut on his head with a glass, Sasuke shot an enraged glance at Zabuza. With lightning speed, Sasuke rolled over and used his bare hands to pry the manhole cover off the street, breaking his fingernails in the process, so he could toss it like a frisbee at Zabuza. Zabuza's eyes grew wide, and to stop the attack, he had to take Kabikari Hocho out again. Using his opportunity, Sasuke gestured, "Kaden. Gukakyu no Jutsu Fire Release. Grand Fireball Jutsu." With a desperate attack, Sasuke unleashed a massive fireball on Zabuza, causing his jaw to drop. Fuck, 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 Sweden. Suiryuden no Jutsu Water Release. Water Dragon Jutsu. Zabuza yelled as he threw his sword at a fire hydrant and started flying through hand signals. The fire hydrant was destroyed by Zabuza's sword, and as he finished his outrageous number of hand signals, the water streamed out of it in the shape of a dragon and collided with Sasuke's fireball. The collision caused the street to flood and become covered in steam. Car headlights broke through the steam, interrupting Zabuza's tirade. "Why do the strong water jutsu have so many damn hand signs?" The car smashed into Zabuza, who erupted in flames and left behind a broken log. "What the fuck?" Sasuke exclaimed as the car skidded to a stop and he leapt out, searching for the man he had just missed. Just in time, he turned around, only to be struck full force by Zabuza's sword with a sickening thunk that sounded like aluminum. With his sword held aloft and his shoulder accentuated, Zabuza launched Sasuke skyward, crashing into the distance on the back of his head. Shaking in relief, Zabuza lowered his sword and cried out to the sky, "Thank you, Log. You saved my ass again. I need to send that Naruto brat a fucking gift basket for teaching me that move." Praise the Log Zabuza. After Naruto's little outburst, Kyuubi smacked him across the back of the head and said, "Aren't we supposed to stay hidden?" With his wounds only recently starting to heal and the ice having long since thawed from his mouth, Naruto shrugged and said, "Yeah, from Sasuke. He's unconscious now, so it doesn't matter." Zabuza allowed the mist to dissipate, and everyone on the roof fell to the ground. With a frown, Haku surveyed the area and asked, "Zabuza Tucson, who's going to pay for all this?" "Wow, damn Zabuza. Collateral damage much?" Naruto exclaimed, whistling as he surveyed his surroundings. "I would tell him that he just got knocked the fuck out, but I'm sure he's aware of that fact." Naruto bent down and prodded at a cut on Sasuke's head. "Kami Zabuza, I said leave him alive." The brat wouldn't stay down. He hotwired a car and tried to hit me with it. Where the fuck did he come up with that? Zabuza said, receiving a tick mark on his head. Why didn't he just drive away with the car? Kyubi asked as he glanced at the haphazardly scattered car in the middle of the street. He was probably either too prideful thinking that he still could have won, or he didn't think about it after Zabuza-san used Kawarimi, Itachi said, turning to face his younger brother. Kyubi and Haku started to perspire when Zabuza and Naruto said a brief prayer. Do I need to take him to the hospital, or is there anyone here that can help him somewhat? Itachi asked, looking up at the others. Turning to face Zabuza and Naruto, Haku said, I can do things with herbs, things that take somewhat longer to take effect, but healing someone on the spot isn't my forte. She then backed away with her hands raised. So Naruto-kun, what was your plan for my brother after your little lesson? Itachi asked as she turned to face Naruto. Pick him up and drop him at your front door, then ring the doorbell and run like hell? Naruto began to back away. That isn't a very good plan, is it? Itachi asked, a gleam in his eyes. Itachi gave a headshake. Okay then, here's my plan. I'm going to. Oh my sweet Kami, what's that? Naruto said, rubbing his chin. He then gestured for everyone to look in that direction, down the street. When they turned around and saw nothing, they discovered that Kyubi and Naruto had moved from their last known locations. South Konoha High School, the next day. Damn Sasuke, you look beat the hell up. Did Princess's dad fuck you up for taking his little girl out, or did Neji? Naruto exclaimed, his smile impossible to hide. Sasuke was grumbling, neither. I was attacked last night. The only reason I'm not dead is because Itachi Nisan got me out of there before I could be killed. A smirk crossed Shikamaru's face until Sasuke turned to face him. Shikamaru returned it to his face after averting his gaze. Naruto informed everyone he knew about his actions over the phone, calling everyone involved in the Orochimaru incident. Thus, Shikamaru, Choji, and Kiba were now aware that Naruto had employed an individual to thoroughly beat Sasuke, and based on the cuts, bruises, and stitches, it appeared that the person had done an excellent job. Well, maybe it's a warning to stop, man. You should at least slow down. That just proved that even if you could find Orochimaru, you couldn't do a damn thing once you did. Kiba chuckled and paused to continue. Naruto purposefully gave Sasuke a rough pat on the back to make the boy yell in pain. Yeah, deputy, just train. Train and put this stuff on the back burner. There's no rush really. If you really have gotten far in your investigation, then you can afford to slow up and actually prepare for things to get more difficult. What's the use of cracking the case if the perp kills you before you can bring him in? Naruto said. Two girls cried out, Oh Sasuke-kun. Sasuke was glomped hard by Ino and Sakura while he resisted the need to cry due to his wounds. With a mixture of irritation, rage, and sheer agony on Sasuke's face, all the boys in the know were holding back their laughter. I heard that you had some trouble last night and aren't feeling well today. Don't worry, I'll get you back to normal, Ino said, putting her arms around Sasuke's neck tightly. With her arms wrapped around his torso, Sakura said, Oh, don't listen to the pig Sasuke-kun. I know what will make you feel better. Perplexed by his lack of reaction, Sakura asked, Sasuke-kun. And, upon seeing his face twisted in agony, exclaimed, Sasuke-kun. Ino pig let go of Sasuke-kun. You and your fat mass are hurting him. Sasuke was almost forced to whimper as Ino gave Sakura a fierce look and gripped him more tightly, as if, it's you and your 2-ton forehead that are crushing Sasuke-kun. Let him go, Ino said. Naruto merely chuckled with the other boys, saying, Oh my god, I love my friends so much.
I will continue the story in next part. Till then, we weeb offline.